Hail, you nostalgic mutants.
Welcome to Previously on X-Men, the podcast that looks at X-Men comics, movies, shows, characters, and more. Hey, Eric!
Hey, back from the Savage Land, everybody. And this week, Hilary and I are joined by Nick and Kendra, because we're crossing over with
90210, Here We Go! The podcast that takes a look at each episode of the Beverly Hills 90210 franchise from Fox to the CW.
Today, we are going to be covering the mid-90s television film Generation X, and I can see from Eric's face that he's very excited about it. Since it's basically a teen soap opera, we thought we'd bring in the experts on teen soap operas.
We're here.
That's us. Happy to be here, everyone.
Welcome.
This is not what I thought I'd be an expert in, but it is.
I know, aren't you pleased?
yeah. Gilmore Girls, Boy Meets World.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense. I've trained for this.
It's a fair assessment, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. So, Generation X, the movie, is based on the comic book, which spun out of the November 1994 issue of Uncanny X-Men number 318. Eric, what can you tell us about that uncanny run with the Phalanx?
Yeah, you've got actual notes for everybody, but it then just says, Eric, talk about the uncanny run.
Honestly. I was just like, I don't know, just talk about it.
The Phalanx alien race, the ones that have like that techno-organic virus kind of thing, they start invading the mansion and taking over, and it's kind of like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing at first, where you're like, oh, Banshee's just walking around like, everybody seems a bit off, but I can't quite place it. And then he finds out it's aliens. So he has to team up with Sabretooth and some other, I can't remember the other team-ups of it, but the Gen X people, actually Blink shows up and she dies.
Oh,
and then
spoilers.
We'll see her again in Age of Apocalypse. So it was like they did this. I think the comic started for like 4 issues, and then it became Age of Apocalypse for another 4 issues, and then it came back. I don't know because I'm not a Gen X expert, but that was the thing. Just a kind of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, haunted house in the mansion thing.
Yeah.
I read the first 4 issues of the original Generation X run. And so I'm familiar with that now, but I don't actually know what the connection is to the Phalanx.
They're not. It was just the thing that happened. Yeah, it was just the alien race they used. It's not like they become a big problem for Gen X.
Okay.
At least, again, not an expert on Gen X. Maybe they do, but I've never seen people be like, oh, wow, it's a Jubilee story. You know the Phalanx are going to show up.
Well, isn't the thing with the Phalanx, I'm trying to remember, like, that whole storyline, I feel like the primary X-Men are, like, very much not in it. Like, they're just...
No, because they're all, like, captured and stuff. So it's like
so
4
Gen
of
X
them.
kind of forms. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
so that was that story, basically.
Thank you, Eric, for that backstory.
Props.
I knew I could count on you. The Generation X series was created by Scott Lobdell and Chris Bacalo. I should practice these beforehand.
But
what is it? What'd you say?
I always call him Scott Lobdell. Like I don't
Lobdell.
go Lobdell.
Could be. What about
Eric
Bacalo?
mispronounces.
That feels Italian,
God.
so you should know.
Yeah, sure. And Chris Baccello, yeah.
Baccello.
Who's one of my favorite comic artists.
Is that true?
Yeah, I love it. He's got this, like, all his characters always have, like, these kind of deformed things, but when he's doing, like, a crazier story, it's great.
All right.
I love him.
Cool.
He's one of my favorite X-Men artists.
Vote of confidence for Baccello.
Wolverine always looks like his shortest and stockiest at the same time. Like,
that is true.
Always curled up and with his claws ready to go.
Based only on those 4 issues that I read.
Yep. Yeah, those 75 issues, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was never not a seller, but when Grant Morrison started his run, he wanted to turn the X-Men into an actual school, like an official school for like the first time in forever. Mm-hmm. So it would have made Gen X a little redundant, so got on the chopping block, along with like a lot of other series at the time. But I think the theory is that Grant Morrison wanted to make the X-Men a school, so the X-Men comics that are a school, you're done.
Kicked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Done.
The tyrant.
Wow.
Yep.
But then it was rebooted in 2017, and I also read that run, and I liked it. It was a weird experience because I hadn't read the original run, yet.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of like references to like, oh, it's that guy who dated
And-
that girl, but I don't know, I just rolled with it.
It's a mix of like Gen X, New Mutants, and like the newer Young Mutants, like
That guy with the eyes all over him.
Yeah. So
Hi, boys.
yeah, I think Shark Girl was in it. So it's just like a weird. It's not really a Gen X series either.
Do you know about that girl with the horns, the antlers?
Yeah. What about her?
I have only seen her in that Gen X reboot.
Oh, yeah, she shows up more.
She's weird.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, that's the wrong view when reading X-Men comics.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She is unique and beautiful.
Um,
Okay, so the comic was rebooted in 2017, and this movie was commissioned, someone asked for it, as a potential series pilot,
yeah.
but it aired as
No.
a one-off special because it wasn't picked up.
And I saw that they were maybe testing the waters to see if it could at least be like a series of movies.
Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah.
That was kind of a
So,
thing.
I don't-
That was kind of a thing, that like the
Yeah.
recurring TV movies.
Like Columbo.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a deep cut, but yeah.
Yeah. Kendra, can you crack open the Condor?
Oh, I would love to.
Condor is committed to professional standards and professional ethics. The weak need not apply.
This TV movie originally aired February 20th, 1996, exactly 26 years ago at time of recording.
Wow.
It's the
That's
anniversary.
crazy.
The very day.
We gathered for the
That's-
anniversary.
And so
Bizarre.
we shall every year from now.
Every year going forward,
Yeah.
we will meet in this room.
Whoa.
We have a birthday to mention, February 26th. Sophie Turner, who would go on to play Jean Grey in X-Men Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, was born.
So wait, the Generation X movie that we're watching today is older than Sophie Turner, just to clarify.
Yes.
Okay.
Just barely.
All right.
Yep. Do I love Sophie Turner as Jean? She's fine. I don't think that those, like the Jean, Scott, Nightcrawler, Storm of those two movies, Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix, get a bunch to
I don't
really
think,
show off
yeah,
her skills.
she's the problem.
No,
But no, I thought she was good in Dark Phoenix. Yeah, I think when she has moments to shine, she's good. And I think she doesn't get a lot of those moments.
True.
But if I'm choosing to watch a movie with Famke Jensen or Sophie Turner, I'm choosing Famke Jensen every
That's
time.
a good.
Every
that's
time.
a good call. That's a
Speaking
good
of
call.
not
Every
being
single
given
time.
things to do, but anyway.
You want to control me? Get out of my head, Charles! Sorry, that was Famke Jensen.
Some movies that came out around this time. Some real, actual movies. February 16th, Muppet Treasure Island.
Yes.
Probably, I don't know. I really liked Muppets in Space, but
No, Treasure
What?
Island's better than Muppets
But
in Space.
What?
well, we watch Muppets in Space a lot, but we also watch Muppet Treasure Island a lot.
Huh.
Yeah, Muppet Treasure Island. It's just too bad that like doing Christmas Carol and Treasure Island didn't just keep them being like, oh, the Muppets are actors who are going to be in other
Yeah.
things instead
know.
of like the Muppets in Space. Like, no, it's just the Muppets hanging out, which I'll watch. But I could have watched like a Muppet Swiss Family Robinson, Muppets Gulliver's Travels, all that.
It is
Could've kept
weird
going.
because those two movies like were riding so high, and they didn't really revisit that until like Muppets Wizard of Oz, which like no one has seen and
Yeah.
definitely no one liked.
I
so-
didn't even know that existed.
I was
Yeah.
just going to say, I don't remember that at
Oh,
all.
it's a real thing.
February 21st, Wes Anderson's Bottle Rocket with Owen Wilson.
That's his like debut film, Wes Anderson.
Yeah, and Wes Anderson is my favorite director, and I have not seen Bottle Rocket yet, but I just
You
got
gotta
it for Christmas.
Nope, I didn't get you Bottle Rocket.
Oh,
Sorry.
thought I have it. Oh, that's the one you didn't get. You got me Rushmore. Sorry, you got me Rushmore. But
Thanks
I still
a
need to watch.
lot.
I haven't seen Rushmore either. There's a couple that I haven't seen, but
Sounds like he's not your
he
favorite.
is my favorite director. And February 23rd, Mary Riley, starring Julia Roberts.
Never heard of it.
No, it's that
Never heard of it either.
Frankenstein-y one, right? She plays like the Frankenstein author, right?
That's Mary
Mary
Shelley.
Shelley.
No, I know, but isn't she like the? I feel like that's Frankenstein connected. Am I making this up?
It feels made
No
up.
idea.
All right.
That definitely doesn't seem right.
No
look.
idea. Well, while you're looking, let's move on to TV. February 17th, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers ends its initial run.
That was a show that I had to sneak to my friend's house to watch because it was violent.
Hey, Mary Riley is the maid of noted physician Dr. Henry Jekyll, played by John Malkovich.
Okay, well, all right.
I get it.
Come
I get
on.
it. Yeah.
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 The other classic story.
Yeah.
So she's the maid of. I feel like being the maid of John Malkovich is creepy enough, let alone
That's
being
true.
Dr. Jekyll.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yep.
Yeah, it's not what you want.
These
right.
are
February-
scientific facts.
That was good.
Malkovich.
That was good. February 20th, VH1 Storytellers debuted.
Eric, did you ever go down this road? Because I know you're like VH1 compilations and all that. Storytellers, no?
No.
Okay.
No.
All
Sorry.
right, just curious.
February 21st, Beverly Hills 90210
Kendra.
aired the 22nd episode of the 6th season. All This and Mary Too.
Listen to me, Kendra. I know that this episode means nothing to you because we're in season 5 right now, but this episode is freaking crazy. So
You'll have to tell me
put a
after
pin in
which one
it.
it
Put
is.
a pin in it, Kendra,
putting
because you're
a
gonna
pin
get
in it.
there.
All right.
All this and Mary too.
Oh, February 24th, Fox Kids debuts The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, which I
Yeah.
watched a few times, and it was never good.
Oh, that's sad.
Or
Oh, well, it was like, this is following the Bill Pullman, Christina Ricci film.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you guys.
So
I
it's
like
got,
Bill Pullman.
Yeah, we know.
Kendra and I were just talking about Bill Pullman for some reason. I don't remember why, but we were.
Yeah, we were. We were talking about how he's from like your area.
Yes, yeah.
From Hornell, right?
Yeah, he is from Hornell,
Yeah.
New York. Yep.
And how I have a friend who's related to him through marriage.
Yep.
Anyway, music. February 20th, Audio Adrenaline released their third album, Bloom. We were just talking about Audio Adrenaline the other day.
Yeah, sure were.
How
Kismet.
great their worldwide album is.
Kismet.
February 27th, the band releases their album High on the Hog.
You love
Still
the band.
going in 96, the band.
Yeah,
The
going
band.
strong. Going strong.
Hey, I'll cover these because in February 27th, Pokemon Red and Green were released for the Game Boy, but it's not written in the notes that it's specifically in Japan because it hadn't come over to America yet, which is why it's still red and green because America gets red and blue.
I was going
Okay.
to say, I didn't think it was green.
Okay.
No, we got blue. I think they decided that Blastoise was cooler looking and would appeal to American audiences more than not Venusaur.
Well, they were
Yeah,
right.
Venusaur.
They were right. We'll definitely talk about
Yeah.
the next one.
And Civilization 2 for Windows came out
Oh.
in February 29th. That's the second Civ game.
So I did not have a computer in my house until I got a computer for my high school graduation. Didn't have a computer. All of my friends were playing this game, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And I tried to
Right,
join in a conversation once, and my friend Dan was like, "You don't even know anything about civilizations," and it really shut me down.
Did it hurt
hard.
your feelings?
It did hurt my
But
feelings.
Aw.
It's
Because I
I feel like
do.
it's fresh. No, it's those are deep games. I mean, I've put more time into Civ 6 than my marriage.
No, that's not
Whoa.
true.
At this point, hour-wise,
Whoa.
So you
I
got some
definitely
work
have-
to do.
Okay.
I definitely have more achievements in Civ 6.
No, keep going.
Hey, in April of 1996, Marvel Comics launched the 12-issue series Adventures of the X-Men, which was loosely based on the animated series, which I haven't read, but the comics are really dope because they kind of copied the Jim Lee comic style more than even the animated series does. So it looks just like a straight hardcore X-Men comic done for the TV show episodes.
But it's like the right uniforms and everything, but in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So it still looks a little bit younger, but they're very cool covers.
Very
All right.
cool.
All right, Nick, who's living in Beverly Hills?
This movie was written by Eric Blackney, and I was trying to figure out what else he's done. He's done a lot of 21 Jump Street, so I guess they were like, that's teen-like. Get him. Directed by Jack Shoulder. Also directed Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
The sequel.
I guess that's
okay.
I guess that's an easy get. I wonder who influenced
guess.
what for this. Were they
Yeah.
like, wait, Dreams, get the guy who did the second Nightmare,
Yeah.
or did they get the second guy from the second Nightmare? He's like, hey, I got an idea for you, Dreams.
Dreams. That's it. That's the idea.
This is why you get a Jack Shoulder.
So moving on to the cast, Matt Frewer
Yeah.
as Russell Tresh. Now listen, this guy has done a million things, but every time I see him or hear his voice, all I think is Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Of course.
Really?
That's it.
I mean, he's Max Headroom, right? So
Oh,
I
yeah,
think that's what
okay.
he's probably most famous for.
Yeah.
Wait. Say
I
that
Shrunk the
again.
Kids.
He's Max Headroom, like the
Wait.
MTV thing.
Is this unusual thinking of him from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? Because I 100,000% think that.
Who is he? In
He's
Honey,
like
I
the
Shrunk-
neighbor.
Yeah.
I guess this does make less sense now that I'm saying it out loud.
Well,
He's just
it's
the
been
neighbor.
a while since I've seen it.
He doesn't get shrunk. He's almost like a villainy kind of
Yeah.
kind of a vibe. But I
Yeah.
loved him in that. That's really funny.
Yeah.
I
But
preferred Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves
Of
because
course
I
you
did.
I don't
Young
like
and-
all the bugs.
Oh,
in-
there's
I mean,
sad
there's
bug
bugs.
stuff.
There's bugs in both of them.
Sad
but-
bug stuff. Yeah. Yeah. But
No,
look,
I like it.
Here is the credit of his that combines all of our worlds because he voices the leader on The Incredible Hulk, the series that starred Luke Perry as Rick Jones.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go.
Oh my gosh.
Marvel and
Shit.
Luke Perry. Okay.
He was also the voice of Panic in Hercules.
Oh, okay.
The two little
Oh,
demon-y
really?
thing- Yeah. So he's the one that isn't the I don't know. I can't remember his name.
Bobcat
Yeah, he's
Goldthwait.
not- he's
Yeah,
the
from
not
Police
Bobcat.
Academy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have Finola Hughes as Emma Frost. So I knew her from Blossom, the sitcom Blossom. She's done a lot of voice work, genre voice work. She's Lara in Superman the Animated Series. She's Lady Shiva in Beware the Batman. Here's another connection, though. She portrayed Patty Hallowell, the mother of Shannon Doherty's character on Charmed.
I should have looked this up because I recognized her and I cannot figure out why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would say she's most primarily known for like daytime soaps.
Well, I don't watch those.
Well, there was a lot of daytime soap vibes from her in this movie for sure.
Yeah.
Hillary, you can tell us if you watch daytime soaps.
I
We
don't
will
watch.
judge
No,
for
you know
that.
who does or who did is Nick right here.
They know. Look, the 90210 people know that I used to sneak into the attic and watch Days of Our Lives. Everybody
Hillary,
knows.
you didn't even watch like Canadian ones?
I don't know if you could tell that they were soap operas, so I don't know if maybe I did and didn't
right.
know.
Yeah, nobody cheats on each other. Everybody's really nice
They're
in
just so
Canadian
polite.
soap
Oh my
operas.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, hey
And
there.
nobody sneaks up on him. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
didn't mean to barge in.
Oh, so
Walks
sorry.
away.
Guys, this is my favorite bit of trivia, and I hope it's a surprise to everyone. But Jeremy Ratchford, who is Sean Cassidy / Banshee in here, is reprising the role in live action because he voiced it on X-Men the Animated Series.
I didn't know that. That's very funny because he's Canadian. So he kept playing and doing that Irish.
Yeah.
Or I'm not Irish. Wait.
Scottish.
He kept doing
isn't
that
it?
Scottish. Yeah, he kept doing that Scottish. Wait, no, they're leprechauns.
I think it was Irish.
Is it?
Now I
Because
don't
it
know.
sounds
Bitch.
exactly like Scotty from the original series of Star Trek.
He's Irish. Banshee.
Well, whatever it is, he's doing it wrong.
All right. So moving on, Heather McComb as Jubilation Lee. Look, let's just get this out there. She's white. Okay.
Just a white person.
She is white.
She's
Yep.
not.
Just a straight
there-
up white
She's
person.
not a Chinese American.
Kendra,
actress.
did you have this thought? Because Nick did not agree with me, but I felt like they were doing something with her eye makeup to sort of suggest an Asian-y vibe,
Oh,
which I
I
think
hope
is like the
that's
worst.
true.
I absolutely think that because, I mean, if you're watching it on YouTube like we did, it's pretty grainy.
Uh-huh.
So Eric was like, oh, she's just white. And I was like, she is? And I had to like really
Mm-hmm.
look because the way they
I
were
hope
doing
not.
her eye,
I've.
I mean, it wasn't over the top, but the way they did her eye makeup was
yeah.
definitely,
That's what I
it was a
thought.
look.
See,
Banshee is
I
Irish.
okay. Banshee's Irish. I mean, you're probably right. I thought it was just like a '90s thing. I remember like
There
I
was
thought they
heavy,
were
yeah,
going
there was
for
heavy
a-
eye makeup in the 90s, but I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
Knowing
I
that
thought they
she
were
is
going for
supposed to
a,
be Chinese,
Yeah, it's a weird decision because like the cartoon doesn't shy away from that. She's not like drawn. Anyway.
I don't know. I don't know
Um,
that she looks particularly Asian in the cartoon.
Oh, really?
I didn't
feel like
know
you
that
can
she was.
tell.
I like as a child, I didn't know she was a Chinese American character. Not until like much later reading comics did I learn
Oh.
that.
I thought who were we saying? Heather McComb has a Winona Ryder vibe going on.
does.
Okay. Yeah. Well, she was also in The Profiler, Party of Five, and Ray Donovan with Wolverine star Liev Schreiber. What's that for a
Whoa.
connection? Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Augustin Rodriguez as
I loved Party of Five,
Skin. Did you love Party of
I
Five?
did love Party of Five.
That's new information. Augustus Rodriguez as Skin. He was in Moon Over Miami. We have Randall
Okay.
Slavin as Refrax.
Ugh,
And
oh
he's
my gosh.
who is he? He's taking the place of Chamber. Is that right?
I guess.
Refrax. Okay,
Wait, with the
'Cause
glasses?
he's-
with the glasses.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
He's just a dumb Cyclops.
Yeah. Listen, I was positive, Kendra, that I was going to have more people who were on both this and 90210 because it's Fox in the 90s, and I thought it was just like a farm of actors. But the only one that I could find is this actor right here, Randall Slavin. He plays Taz Botel in the 90210 Season 7 premiere, Remember the Alamo. And Kendra, it's a wild episode. Yeehaw!
It's just all wild from
Yes.
now on.
Yes. We're almost
All right.
6 season ins. Don't you know that? All right, 2 more. Bumper Robinson is Mondo. He voices Falcon and Rhodey all over Marvel properties. Also Cyborg and Black Lightning all over DC. And he voiced Bolivar Trask in the X-Men Origins Wolverine video game.
Is he the cyborg I know?
No.
Is he Cyborg from Teen Titans Go?
No.
Oh, I love him.
Okay.
Okay.
Bumper Robinson is playing Mondo. Mondo's normally Samoan in the comics,
Oh.
and Bumper
Oh, I didn't
Robinson is
know
not.
that.
He's African American, so that's another change
Yeah.
for maybe no reason, I guess.
Okay.
Also, X-Men Origins Wolverine is a pretty good video game. It basically just kind of copies like God of War a bit, but it did so in all the right ways.
Okay.
All right.
So that's one of those games that like it's a movie game tie-in that's like really good.
That seems
Yeah.
rare.
All right. We have Amaryllis as Monet/M. She was in Sweet Valley High. And finally, Suzanne Davis as Buff was in Port Charles. And that's it for our cast,
Who was
everybody.
Buff?
Yeah, Buff.
I don't remember Buff.
Buff is
Yeah, she's the tough
girl who has.
Oh,
They
well,
called her-
Arlie.
They
right?
called her Buff.
Don't we
Arlie,
mostly
yeah.
call her?
All right.
Arlie.
We'll
Arlie, not
talk
her
about
age.
we'll talk about Arlie and
I'm sorry. She was supposed to be. She was supposed to be Husk.
Husk.
Which,
What
so
I
they took
said-
out my 2 favorites.
What I said to Eric before he watched this movie was that they replaced some of the characters and it was the 2 most interesting ones.
Yeah. Also, they're the 2 that are into each other, and they had the 2 that were new be into each other. It's just dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't. They're like I saw it like Chambers not here because of. They said his power was too cost, but I don't believe that because you just don't have him use his power. No one
Right.
else uses their power. Mondo's
that's
supposed
true.
to literally transform into the thing, and they're just like, no, it's physically. He's like Rock. You can just.
Well, they the fireworks for.
Oh my gosh! Cut out all the dream stuff, and you have plenty of money for Chamber.
That's true.
Hey guys, do you want to hear a really embarrassing fact for somebody who's been reading X-Men comics for 22 years?
You
Yes.
know I do.
Yes.
Well,
Sometimes yes.
I've been reading those since then, and Monet is one of my favorite characters, and this is the first time I've heard it out loud, so I have been calling her Monette
No.
for 22 years.
Oh,
Oh,
my
Eric.
gosh, that is
And
so
I have
long.
been talking. I have even like told Kendra, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Monette.
So you're
Oh.
aware of the famous artist, yes.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
the
Monet,
artist,
yeah.
Monet. That's
Okay.
how you spell it.
Look, it's happened with everybody all my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Like Ro.
He had a
it's-
big reaction when
yeah.
I first said her
If when I found out the word foe, was it Fox?
Oh boy.
That's a hard
I remember
time for
reading
any
it-
kid.
French.
Yeah.
I think maybe you should just take some French.
I remember
lessons.
reading a comic and they were like, "Oh, he had to go faux French on us." I'm like, "What does Fox French
Wow.
mean?"
I thought you were smart. I guess that was just one big facade, wasn't it, Eric?
One big facade.
It's a big facade, just like the Mary
Yep.
Riley movie
Yep.
with Julia Roberts.
Yep.
Facade.
Just like it.
Both
Just
of you are
like
dumb.
it.
Both of you. So what we're talking about is that all of the Generation X characters, well, most of the Generation X characters show up in here, but they replaced 2 of them.
Yeah.
They replaced
Yeah.
Chamber with some guy who blasts stuff out of his eyes.
Right.
But
Once.
is not
like
Cyclops.
one time.
Also,
And
he can
they
kinda
replaced
see
Husk
see
with
through
this
things.
person who is, I guess, strong. Is
Right.
Like she's her height, but she's like super buff. I guess is
Right.
the thing.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like
so
if
she's
a
always wearing,
15-year-old
like, the
girl
bulky
had the body of
clothes.
Hulk Hogan,
Right.
Yeah.
That's
so
it.
that's the
You-
that's the
you
basic
figured it out.
rundown. Why don't we
Yeah.
dive into the movie? So we start with some sort of operation is happening.
Yeah.
It seems like a very like sci-fi, dark, creepy kind of a situation. And
Yep.
someone is about to get their brain cut out or something. And then a woman bursts in and is talking about how the doctor's finished and he's not going to do this. And
he leaves with the mutant. We find out that like mutants get their powers from a gland in the brain,
Right.
and everything. And so Max Headroom is gonna cut open the guy's brain and do experiments. So she walks in and is just like, "You're not supposed to do this." But then like the cops show up and he's like, "He didn't sign the Mutant Registration Act, so we're actually taking him." It's just this rotating door of people claiming they have authority. And Emma Frost is like, "I quit." this place and she
But
disappears.
but not before she like turns into Storm for a second there.
Yeah, she
that
uses-
was very confusing.
So it's supposed to be like a psychic attack, but I definitely felt like there was electricity.
There
going
was so
on.
much
There was some sort of
electricity.
flash, and there
Yeah.
was wind.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
felt like somebody
Wind.
plugged in an industrial fan, and then
Yeah.
they're like, but for the mind.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But in the mind.
So
And then
she's
it's
dead.
5 years later, which I thought was interesting because that's what the X-Men movie basically does. It has a scene and then it jumps like, years later and the not too
Oh,
distant
yeah.
future and all
That's
that
true.
stuff.
Oh, you know what I should have mentioned in Living Beverly Hills? They're filming on Hartley Castle, which
Yep.
is the home of, the X-Men in several of the movies.
Yeah, not the first one, but it's X-Men 2 and 3,
Yeah.
Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and the 2 Deadpool movies.
Yeah.
So-
Kendra, it's
and-
also where they shot I Want to Marry Ryan Banks.
I wanna
Oh, yeah.
marry Ryan.
And
Banks.
Smallville.
Yeah, it's Smallville and Arrow as
Yeah,
well.
I know. Yeah.
So that mansion gets a lot of play. That's like the biggest star in this thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we do see the mansion finally, I'm like, wow, this looks a lot like the X-Men mansion. So it is.
There you go.
So it is.
So, I mean,
Continue. Let's
after the
continue.
jump, when we get to Russell, it's like he has a machine that lets you go into people's brains, like into their dreams.
Oh, so we're talking to the
Right?
villain now.
Yeah. When we
Yeah,
go 5 years.
so-
I like how you
Yeah.
call him Russell.
Isn't that his name?
Yeah, I guess I spent the whole movie calling him Jim Carrey's the Riddler from Batman
Yeah,
Forever.
that's true. You're
Yes,
absolutely right.
it's true.
Yeah.
He talks like him. His plan is almost the same.
It really is similar. Yeah.
He-
Similar
He,
body type.
he kills his boss the exact
Out
same
the window.
way out
I
the
know.
window.
Yes, I thought the same thing.
If he had been at one moment talking to Skin like, I'm sucking out your brain,
Yeah.
I would have been like,
Your entrance was good. His was better.
outdone and outclassed in every way.
It was definitely just like a blatant
Yeah.
copying of that character.
Yeah.
Keeps me safe when I'm jogging at night. Man, I don't think there was a movie I quoted more as a kid than Batman Forever's
yeah.
Riddler.
Yeah. Yeah.
I probably quoted Jim Carrey more than a single person I knew in my entire life growing up. Anyway,
What a
can we watch
weird-
Batman Forever instead of this?
No,
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that the Russell scene is where the style of the movie really jumps out the most.
Oh,
it's like
my
the
gosh.
most 90s, like slanty, vibrant
Yeah.
colors,
Yeah.
craziness.
It's awful. But actually, before we see Russell in his dream machine, the 5 years later is Skin leaving
right,
his
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
And his sister not letting go for some reason, though I'm sure she's aware of his powers, so it's just a weird
That was so
thing.
weird. Yeah, he's driving
I mean-
away and she holds onto his hand, and I kept looking at her face and being like, "Is she joking?"
Yeah.
Brain dead?
Yeah.
It seems like I think we're supposed to believe like she doesn't want him to go.
Her face was so blank. Though.
Yeah.
Zero emotion on her
Very
face. It
weird.
was strange.
So and then we see Jubilee is in an arcade, which is how we're always introduced to Jubilee in an
I
arcade,
like
which
that.
is
though. I
fine.
thought that was cool. I thought
Yeah.
that was cool.
I mean, if you're watching the cartoon series, then you're gonna be like, oh, dope, it's Jubilee.
She's got the jacket.
She's got the yellow jacket.
I think that's how I immediately knew who she was.
Yeah.
Like, despite her not being a Chinese character, a Chinese actor, I was like, oh, Yellow Jacket, it's Jubilee.
That's all you need,
Uh,
apparently.
but then she's also taken away, but she's not an orphan in this because her mom and dad are just there.
Right, yeah.
Well, listen,
But-
see, I think that this is an interesting thing about this movie because the very first thing that you see of someone going to Xavier's school is Russell, who is in this nice family setting. They've all decided that they're going to send him to this school. It's very pleasant and very
You mean
normal. And
Yeah,
then when you
Skin,
have
Skin, not Russell.
Skin. Oh, yeah, sorry, not Russell, Skin.
Angelo, yep.
Angelo. And when Jubilee goes, it's the consequence of this whole crazy, she's an unregistered mutant, she's going to go to prison and all of this stuff, and then she gets like stolen out. I just think that's interesting to have the two ways to get in there.
We see a very Emma Frost wakes up, or she's in the machine. I don't remember. I literally just watched it, but she wakes up Banshee, who's just sleeping by the fire. And you know what? I was like, if I had like a daybed kind of situation like that by a fire, I think that would be pretty dope. So
Yeah.
Banshee's kind of
not
living
bad.
this
He's
best
got a
life.
good setup, no question.
Yeah. We're not aware of it, but like there are students there. So they're already teaching. This isn't
Right.
like them just like, oh, we need to start a school. So I guess that's a smart thing, just to be like, we've already got some students. But this is also like the only time we have the two of them like flirt hating each other.
A little bit, yeah. When
And
she wakes
she's like,
him up.
yeah, she's like, hello, lover. And she's like, I'm gonna try to go into your brain and you'll never wake up again. If he's like, if you try, you won't either. I'm
Listen,
like, I think...
she's super smarmy, whatever, but I really like the interactions between the two of them. I've enjoyed them the whole time. I thought they were really fun.
Some chemistry.
I don't love him as live action Banshee, but I do think she's probably the best live action Emma Frost.
That's what I said. I totally agree.
So she
I didn't mind him as Banshee. I found his comedic,
yeah.
his comedy to be.
I guess
Yeah.
the accent's just so bad.
The accent is bad, but once you
but-
set it aside, I
Yeah.
thought he did a
Well,
good job.
He was just funny.
They kind of rolled with like Hockey Dad Banshee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did Banshee.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a Canadian actor, so
There
I
you
guess
go.
that would
Yeah.
make sense.
That plays.
But no,
Hang
I
on,
thought
he's not the guy from Witch Hunter Gretel. Is he?
A
No.
lot of similar vibes. A lot of similar vibes. Thanks for asking, but no.
I thought this Emma had like enough smarm, but also she's like the first Emma that's also played as like the good, like
Yeah.
the hero
Yeah,
Emma,
true. Yeah.
not a villain. But you can tell she could be a villain if she wanted to be. So yeah, I just thought like character wise, it felt pretty faithful to Emma Frost. For
Yeah,
the
I
most
thought
part.
so too. I liked it that it wasn't just her being hard and like mean
Yeah.
or whatever. You saw a little bit of vulnerability that still felt
Yeah,
true
she
to
mentions
her.
the Hellions of all things.
yeah.
You love the Hellions.
Well, the Hellions for Emma. That's the. I like the post House of X Hellions.
Sorry,
Yes, the Sinister's
sorry.
Hellions.
To be
But no,
clear.
Emma's Hellions are like the rival school that she had for the New Mutants. So there were the New Mutants in Xavier's school, but the Hellfire Club had their own group, the Hellions, and she was the headmistress of that school. But they all died, and like that's part of her thing that she like has blamed herself for all their deaths and everything. And so they like that's kind of like
that's what she was talking
there's a
about.
lot of like history you'd pull from that if they ever continued on with this, and they just the fact that they mentioned it, I'm like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's just like something that if you had read the comics, like, oh wow, the Hellions, yeah, that happened. But like for somebody else, that I don't know, that was a nice pull.
Well, we're way ahead of ourselves.
Sorry. Is this movie
Pull us
chronological?
back, Kendra. Pull us
Yeah.
back.
Can we just cover all the Max Headroom scenes in one
Let's do it.
so we
Let's-
don't have
yeah.
to do everything else?
That's
Yeah,
that's a good
it's fine.
question. So Jubilee gets taken away, and her mom is trying
Emma-
to like break her out, and then Emma and Banshee basically come to get her out of there.
Yeah.
And I loved the when Emma breaks in and she's like, "We're Agents Hootie and Blowfish." That
Yeah,
cracked
that
me
was
up.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Super
Jubilee's
dated.
reaction to that
Super
too.
dated.
She was
Yeah.
just like, okay.
There's a lot of stuff in this that I'm like, yeah, this is 90s and this is
Yeah.
like a 90s genre show. It's just so bad. Everything is done so bad because like them going to talk and I don't know, like the setup is perfect. Gen
Yeah.
X the comic is like just set up perfectly for a 90s show that they want it to be. And it just how many shows? You just have these two adult characters who are also sexy and
Yeah.
maybe flirtatious, and then you have all these kids. It's just there. Why'd
Yeah.
they screw it up so much?
I know, it's true.
I mean, I guess it's good because like we're 4 years away from the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
And maybe that wouldn't have happened if the show had done.
Oh, that's
true.
not a bad point, Eric. So there. Now you can like it because
But-
of that.
But there are moments I'm like, this. You've got the bones.
Yeah, they do.
I
I'm
think it
sorry,
really does
You've
have
got
the
the skin.
Ha-
Ah.
Skin in the game.
We have another
Anyway.
another little Emma Banshee moment when she tricks the cops and then they're walking down the hallway. And I liked the line that he had that stick to manipulating weaker minds to keep your record perfect. I just thought that was a witty little.
Yeah, it was good.
I liked that one.
Yeah.
So they grab Jubilee and then they decide.
They take her to the school, and it's the mansion from the movies that we all know and love. But then they just let the kids go out and
Yeah.
interact with the new
Have a
kids.
nice
First, they
touch
make them
football
strip
game.
down
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have to get naked.
to do some
Oh,
sort
that's
of.
right.
And like they're like, we need a body scan or
Scan.
something. But but
That's
like
pervy.
there was a lot of like
Watching her get
nakedness
naked.
for a
Yeah.
network TV.
I liked how Jubilee's doing the naked thing, and then you see Skin is kind of like eyeing her a little bit, and then Emma says something about like, "Oh, you're next, kid," as if that sort of like fixes it. Like, we're all getting naked, so it's equalizing.
And then they get to go out and meet the other kids, and the other kids are instantly mean.
Right.
Which seems like the thing you would do if
Arlie's not mean.
Yeah,
she
but it's like
introduces them to everybody.
you're four?
4.
Yeah, you're 4 mutants at a mutant school, and you're mean to the new mutants at this mutant school. It's
Right.
like, I don't know, have some solidarity with the newbies.
Well, it's like
I
it's
get
too
there.
small a group to have sort of like these ones are the mean ones
Yeah.
and these ones are the nice ones. So it's just
Yeah.
like I guess they're just mean.
It's like every single person is their own clique.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
that's all there
what's
is.
his what's the new guy's name? It's Refrax. What
Yeah.
a dumb name.
It
But
is
anyway, he looks like he's straight out of the Lost Boys. He looks like
He does.
He
He
looks
does
like
with
he
the blonde,
loves Kiefer
yeah.
Sutherland from with that blonde and the glasses. I don't know. He can kind of see through things. He's bragging that he can see like through pantyhose of all
Right.
things. I don't
Right.
know.
He
And-
says something shocking later.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
But anyway,
I forgot about
anyway,
that.
in the midst of all this, like once in between Jubilee coming from jail and them having like a touch football game, we get a little snap back to Russell, and he sort of goes over his plan a little bit, which is essentially to, and help me on this, merge the real and dream worlds, a trick he learned from Emma Frost.
Yeah, listen, I
What
think
does
the
that
entire
mean?
the entire time this whole movie they talk about the dream world, and I think that they're talking about the astral plane. They're
Maybe.
just calling it the dream world.
That's certainly the benefit of the doubt.
Well, I mean, because it's Emma and it's all like the psychic stuff.
Yeah, Kendra asked me, like, so is this the guy from Legion? I was like, no, this is not the Shadow. This is just a dude.
I thought Shadow King the whole time too. I wondered if they were doing like a thing with him.
That's the only X-Men character
So,
I know that does.
You've
things
read the
in your
comics.
dreams.
You know that M has her own villain who is basically her brother.
Yeah.
Emplate, who's in his own dimension. So you have the character, you have the concept
Oh,
of
Emplate would be too
another
dark
dimension.
for this cutesy movie.
Would it? Because this dude says a lot of bad things.
No, you're
to
right,
young
that's true.
kids.
He really does. He really does.
Yep.
He licks them.
He does lick them.
Oh, yeah, that's
he does
true.
do that. He licks a literal child
Yeah.
in a later
So
scene.
That
I don't
was-
know if Emplate is necessarily too dark. But anyway.
So like they're in their classes, and is Emma trying to teach everybody psychic powers?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that the idea in this version of the X-Men world
Yeah.
is that all mutants have the ability
Because of the midichlorians and
because
their
of
brain.
the to access the
Right.
dream world, which is another
because in
dimension
this,
that we
your
all
mutant
share.
power comes from a gland in your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not the X gene, it's in your brain.
It's a
So
brain.
I imagine they're just
Brain.
thinking like the mutant brain can but then she's like they're just asking questions. She's like, yes, you could research this and all this stuff. It's like, what are you teaching?
Yeah.
It's a dumb lesson.
At least in the movies, Professor X is feigning to teach them about the once and future king every week.
That's true.
That's true.
Is
That's
this
true.
the
How
scene
many
where
of
she
you-
holds up the magic eye
Yeah,
thing?
she's doing the magic eye thing.
Because
yeah.
she,
Yeah.
it's just like just relax
psychic
and let
thing,
it
yeah.
happen.
It's a sailboat.
I see it. It's a polar bear.
But then, like,
Love
Jubilee is
magic
super
eye
interested
things.
in all of this, like, psychic stuff, and that's kind of what gets us into the trouble later on. 'Cause
Yes.
she starts
Yes.
doing the research
Yeah,
that Emma suggested.
Her and Skin are like a team trying to use this machine. And I
Right.
guess it's not Cerebro, it's just, but maybe it is too.
Yeah.
Maybe. They
Yeah, I
can
don't
know.
know.
The Hellions, but they can't call it Cerebro. I don't know.
guess.
Don't
they
they have
said
Cerebro?
Cerebro.
I thought they had Cerebro.
They called it Cerebro?
No,
They
it wasn't
said
that. It
this
was a
is-
different
He was
thing.
like, "This is Cerebro, and every day you guys will take turns writing down the data from Cerebro."
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You know
That's
what?
not
That's what he-
it's not the chair thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like the
I'm starting
the
to think
security thing.
I'm starting to
They
think
definitely
mutant
said
powers
Cerebro.
do come from the brain, and my mutant power was to protect itself
From this
most
movie.
of this
Yeah.
movie.
Block out all facts from this
Makes
movie.
sense.
Yeah, they
Things
said
would happen and my
Cerebro.
brain would be like, activate! And I'd suddenly become like the thing and be a hard shell just sitting on the couch like, I can't see this movie.
They said it several times.
But then we have this classic all the kids want to go into town moment. They talk.
No, you skip the bathroom scene, which is where the horrible thing is said.
Oh,
What?
true.
No, what bathroom
When,
scene?
when
The
he's
next scene where they find out there's only one bathroom
Yeah.
in this mansion.
Right.
the
Mansion, they're
other
waiting
wings
for
are
one
closed
bathroom.
off.
And so they're all waiting, and Refrax, I'm gonna let Nick say it.
I don't wanna
Refrax,
say
No
it.
one's gonna say it.
Okay.
He says
basically
something crass
yeah.
about a woman that he saw.
It was
Yeah,
shocking.
I couldn't believe it. But they're all just standing there waiting to use the one bathroom
Yeah.
again.
We also skipped my favorite scene of the whole thing, which is when the girls are in their room and the guys are in their room, and they have that whole conversation about Jell-O. And what if he touches Jell-O? Does he turn to Jell-O?
Yeah, that was really
He's
funny.
like, I don't like Jell-O.
And he's like,
And he's
I'm
like,
sorry.
oh no, I know, you're tough.
He's like, no, you're tough. And he's like, yeah, I am.
I did
I don't
like that.
Jell-O.
I like
That was my favorite. That was my favorite scene. It was really funny. And also, Monet has the whole thing about like, I'm the smartest person in here, and don't mess with me.
Monet is kind of like a B in the
that
comics
was
for a
that
lot
was
of
pretty
times.
accurate for Monet.
Monet's thing is that she's hot, she's super powerful, and she's very snobby.
Well,
so that
The actress did well with that.
Yeah, super unlikable.
Okay, so they go into town,
yeah.
and Banshee lets them go alone.
Classic.
Which is a great idea.
Classic.
And they go to what?
Yeah.
Like a
Like a 1950s soda shop.
yeah, like a soda
Hold on,
shop.
here's
So Angelo sees a girl and he's got a little crush on the girl, and then her jerky friends are like, oh, let's go make fun of this guy. So they call him over and he sits down at the table, and I'm like, bro,
I know.
what are you doing? But then all they do is smash his face in a banana split, and it's kind of
it's
anticlimactic.
still terrible to
No,
a
it's
stranger.
terrible. It's terrible, but like
He was creeping on them a little bit.
he was.
I'll say that.
He
No,
was.
I
No,
have
I'm with him.
I've been around plenty of situations where there's just a weirdo by himself at a table. I don't invite him
But
over
this
so I
is-
can smush his face in
Was
ice cream.
no, he was eyeing them on the street, and then he followed them into the restaurant.
I don't know. It's still pretty mean. It's
pretty
mean.
mean. It
It
is
seems like
mean.
you're defending the bullies,
No,
both of you.
no, it is mean. I'm saying that
You know
the
who
girl
would've-
being freaked out by
You know
him
who would have
was
stood up for him and said, "Hey, back off"? Brandon.
Dylan. Oh, Brandon.
Brandon.
Brandon, I'm sorry,
Brandon.
Brandon.
No. Brandon would see that it's not his responsibility. He doesn't need to deal with that.
Well, first season Brandon would have stood up for him. Current Brandon would have been like, what am I supposed to do?
It's not my job.
Where's Emily Valentine? Right?
He would have been
what?
He would have been running in to get him in a second time.
Right. Yeah.
Where he went to him.
Yep.
A
Yep.
second.
Okay, but back at the mansion, like after all this has happened, and Angela's on like computer duty, like they're doing, like taking the data and stuff. He starts hacking into the system, and he's trying to get into this secret room.
He
and
uses.
and the code he uses is beta hexa 90210. Bam! Connection.
It was.
You know, when Emma Frost first walked in, I thought she was Kelly
How dare
from
you?
90210.
How dare
don't know.
you, sir?
I mean, like if
We
you
watched it
look
on our TV,
really-
and it's a very blurry
If you look
resolution.
really
So I just
quickly-
saw a pretty blonde lady that looked a little bit like Kelly.
Jenny.
Okay.
Garth.
Jenny
Alright.
Garth. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Well, in this secret
Anyway.
room is Emma's dream chair that everybody's obsessed with.
Well, wait. Is before this the part where he's on the computer and then like security things start going off and he thinks they're being
yeah.
attacked, but they were just doing like
He's doing the
fake-
It's like a
Kobayashi Maru.
simulation.
yeah.
but he didn't know that he was doing a simulation.
But
I
that
know.
was a nice thing too, because you got to see some teaching from.
Is the rock wall supposed to be the danger room?
Yeah, that's
I think
definitely
so.
supposed
I
to be
think
the
it
danger
is.
room.
Yeah.
This pilot made me appreciate just how transformative the pilot for Smallville really was. That you could get a pilot like Smallville out only like 4 years later, because that
True.
also came out in 2000, right?
Yeah, it did. I think it was maybe 2001 because I was in college.
Okay, the point is, it's not that far in years from this, and it's just so much better.
Oh, it
And it
is.
just made
It
me
is.
like appreciate
But-
this.
but I
it
think-
also made me appreciate. Anyway, continue.
No, I just think that's a really transformative couple of years, though. 96 to 2001, because, like, we were talking about Power Rangers earlier, and this really kind of, I feel like it came to a fork in the road, and it was like, do we want to go a little bit more serious, like a Smallville or even a 90210, or
You're right.
do we want to lean into a Power Rangers aesthetic? And they chose Power Rangers, and I think that was the wrong fork.
This,
yeah.
this is a year after Batman Forever, a year before Batman and
Yeah.
Robin, so we're still in the Schumacher
Yeah,
Batman
true.
era, which I think you can tell a lot as well. So we're not in, like, in 98 is when Blade comes out. It's like, no, you can just make a cool, gritty, like, I think if this had come out after, yeah, you're right. After, like, 98 on is when you start getting people being like, oh yeah, we'll just make it like real life, but with superpowers.
Yeah, and I think this was kind of a dead zone in superhero TV, too, because, like, as far as I
We
can
can't
think
do
of,
Lois and Clark.
Right, that's the only thing that's happening at
Right.
this time. Like Lois and Clark is in full
Right.
swing and it's a hit, but it's not geared towards teenagers. You know?
But yeah, when I was watching it, I just kept thinking like, wow, Smallville is kind of a miracle.
Yeah, it's true.
That
It's
first
true.
season of that first
Yeah.
episode of Smallville,
Even
that like
filming
the pilot.
in the same place, right?
Right,
Oh,
the
yeah.
same mansion. But just the fact that they laid all that groundwork, they were using like the same, well, technically the same age level
Yeah.
of characters.
Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that.
Tom Welling was
I
30 if he was a day.
but I did. I spent the whole time thinking, comparing it to the Smallville pilot, and I
Yeah.
was just like, wow.
Yeah, you don't
Well,
want to do that.
honestly,
You don't wanna do
like the storyline is more fanciful and everything, but I expect the whole time feeling like if they would just set the camera at like a normal angle and stop
Yeah.
with all of the flashing lights and just
Yeah.
do the same thing, it would have been infinitely
Yeah.
better.
And the problem is too, I don't think maybe you can get away with doing like Gen X, like you could do a Gen X show, like on the CW, that kind of style. But I still don't. I feel like the '90s was the best time for that group.
Yeah.
I mean, it was created around this time for that purpose and everything. But I don't think you could do that type of show well now and have it like be the right tone. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think you are, because I just don't think there was a place for this. I think you were either Saved by the Bell or 90210, and there was nothing in
Yeah.
between. You know, and
Yeah,
this-
because like at the time, genre TV is Buffy and X-Files,
Right.
and I'm probably missing something. I don't know if Roswell was out at the time.
But this is kind of like if Buffy
What's-
was remixed
what's
by
scary?
Saved by the Bell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. What happens next?
Wait, so Russell's whole
I
thing.
can't even remember where we left off.
Russell's whole
Russell, the villain.
He's like chasing the mutants. I don't know.
His
I don't
whole
know what
thing
Russell's
is that
plan
he
is.
works. He works for an advertising agency and has been doing this whole thing with like using the dream world to get into people's unconsciouses or whatever. But his real passion is this dream chair thing that he learned about from
Oh my
Emma
gosh.
because they
Are we
worked
at the-
together before.
Yes, we are.
Are we at the board meeting
We're at the scheduled fart, if that's what you're
where he
asking.
makes everybody fart?
Yeah,
This
that
was
was
a
rough.
prime time movie to
It's
make
for
a pot.
kids. Kids
to
like
do a
fart
show?
jokes.
I
Yeah.
couldn't believe
It's
It
not
was
short.
like-
It's not a short moment either. He plants this suggestion that everybody's gonna like fart or burp at 10 a.m. to prove that he can just surf around their brains.
I mean, I guess the thing is like it's like a Nickelodeon show at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't even think Nickelodeon would have done that most
Well,
of the
hey,
time.
no, that Nickelodeon is an interesting thing because I think it does feel a little more like the whole vibe is more Nickelodeon. We didn't.
Yeah.
talk
Yeah,
about
what was that Tomorrow People, that Tomorrow Kids show or something on the Tomorrow Children, the Tomorrow
Space
People.
Cases is one.
Space
Yeah,
Children was the
sure.
one.
Oh, but Space Cases was good.
I adored Space Cases.
The whole like
Yeah, that was
him,
good stuff.
You know, you have the villain and you have like the teens, and they're trying to. It did remind me a little bit of the Secret World of Alex Mack. Like I think there was
Sure,
a little bit
yeah.
of that there. This is just a little bit more hardcore.
I guess that would be around the same time too, huh?
It would have been, yeah.
Kendra, Secret World of Alex Mack would have changed your life.
Would've-
I
would've
still
Yeah, I
can't
know.
believe you haven't seen it.
Would have changed your life.
And
Not a moment.
I don't think there was anything that, like, if I found out I missed an episode, I was more devastated by as a child. Like, wait, I missed, especially that last season where they're like, this is going to be the last season. I didn't even know what, like, a season final was.
Finale.
Okay, I didn't know what a
It's
season finale was either.
finale.
All right, so, like, I spent the whole time being like, are they really going to end this?
Yeah. Well,
Oh, my gosh.
that was very unusual for shows like that. None of the other ones
Yeah.
had like a start and an end. It was like every episode
Yeah.
you're dropped in the middle. But Alex Mack did have a set. This is the beginning and this is the end. Very
I remember
unusual.
when that villain was walking away from that plant and it was exploding. I'm like, she's gonna get away with it.
Yeah.
She's the baddest person that's
Yeah. All right, but okay. So the boardroom is really stupid. It is really stupid. But
Yep.
I think
Well,
when
you said but because it's a fart.
and so you bounce around a little bit. We see the danger room for a minute, but
God.
then when it comes back to the boardroom and it's going along
Find out,
normal
yeah.
and they're talking about it like behind Russell's back, and then you realize that it's actually, what is his name, Bob, the little henchman. When you
It's his
realize
dream.
it's
Calls him
his
Bobby
dream,
Boy a lot.
I thought that was actually kind of a cool moment. And
Yeah,
then-
because he sees Bob be like, yeah, we got to get rid of this guy.
Yeah.
He's too dangerous.
Yep.
But it's his dream. Mm-hmm. Russell talks that guy in the dream into jumping into space or something, like going
Yeah.
to fly. But in real life,
Yeah.
he is now jumping out a window, and it's like a really high
Batman
window.
Forever, baby.
Yeah,
All Batman Forever, all the time.
yeah. Man, that was a dark scene when I saw that movie in theaters.
Yeah,
down
it
there
was.
Forever.
Yeah, it
I
was.
was like, I think that might have been the first movie I saw in theaters where someone was murdered.
Yeah.
In
You
'95.
You never forget your first murder.
You know what? No, I saw Lion. I saw Lion King in theaters in '94, so I did see.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
It's definitely a murder.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
for
a
sure.
person, and it wasn't a real person.
Kendra's
Like in
watched
Batman Forever.
600 episodes of Criminal Minds, so if you need to know more about murder, you can
Yeah.
go ahead and ask
I'm
Kendra.
murder by.
I don't know what else happens because it keeps jumping between Angelo using the mind machine and interacting with this guy. It keeps jumping. I don't.
Well, what
the thing
happens?
is,
Because
he
Russell-
Russell is gonna get pulled out of his machine by the cops, but Angelo in the dream world grabs him, and that traps him in the dream world. But they
Yeah.
never really do anything with that.
That's true.
Yes, and so Angelo and Jubilee figure out how to use Emma's chair back at the mansion, and Angelo goes in, meets Russell, and then the cops are going to pull him out, and I think maybe that would have killed him?
Yeah, well, they talked earlier about, well, Angelo kept pushing it about,
Yeah.
like, don't unplug me, because if you
Yeah.
unplug me, it'll separate my consciousness from my body, and that's just permanent. There's nothing to
Right.
do about that.
So I think if Angelo wouldn't have stopped Russell from getting yanked out, I
Yeah,
think he would have
he
been
saved
just
him.
dead.
Yeah.
But then he was separated from his body. The body's like comatose, and the mind is trapped in the dream world.
Yeah, so Russell is thankful to Angelo.
Yeah.
And remarkably okay with being disembodied.
Yeah, he's fine with it. He doesn't mind.
But I guess he's crazy, so.
And then we're at the carnival.
Yeah, the carnival is pretty soon after that.
There's a thing going on at this point between,
Refracts and Buff.
yes.
Yeah.
And he invites her to the carnival, and they all go to the carnival, right? They all go to the carnival.
They
Yeah,
do.
because
That's right,
Angelo
yeah. He asks
meets-
her on a date to the carnival, and then they all end
Yeah.
up going.
Yeah.
and
And
Monet
Russell,
is showing off her strength.
yeah.
Yeah, Monet is interesting because she doesn't really care like the rest of them do about like hiding her powers. She doesn't have any like shame wrapped up in it or anything. And so she's just sort of like going nuts and like racking up these dudes following her around.
And while Russell was in the dream world with Angelo, he used the girl from the burger shop earlier, and he was like, hey man, I can help you get this girl if you help me. So that's in play as well, because they run into each other at the carnival.
Right. Yes.
Yes. And she remembers him from her dream
From the
and is
dream.
like into him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suddenly she's totally fine. Yep. So yeah, lots of things happening at the carnival. Refrax kind of accidentally looks through Buff's clothes just as they're about to kiss, and it's
Yeah.
all like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then I guess the goons from the burger shop come back. So there's a big fight that Emma has to break up.
Emma doesn't break
No,
it
Emma
up.
doesn't break it. Who breaks
Emma
it up? I
picks
don't even
them
know.
up.
There's a big fight.
I think the cops break it
You're
up,
right,
and
the
then
cops break
Emma
it
has
up.
to come pick them up at.
Yeah, because Mondo makes his skin like
Stone.
a rock.
You're right.
Yes,
Oh,
a
yes.
stone, and they punch him and hurt their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
I liked how Emma was so blasé about getting them out of the jail.
Yeah.
Like the first time with Jubilee, she sort of like puts on an act and like kind of like does. But with this one, she's just like, yeah, that's their names. Whatever, get out here. And then they
She's gonna
just leave.
she's gonna expel. Who's gonna get expelled?
Mondo.
Mondo.
She's gonna expel Mondo.
Yeah.
He used his
because
powers in a fight.
He used his power.
Yeah.
And then they're all like,
Seemed
"Well, then,
harsh to me.
then you're expelling me. Then I'm expelled. I'm
Yeah.
expelled.
Classic.
I'm Spartic Expellicus.
Expellicus.
I'm Expellicus.
Yeah, and Banshee's trying to like talk Emma down from kicking him out, and this is where we find out that she's still kind of like processing the loss of the Hellions.
Oh my goodness, guys. We skipped over after they used the chair for the first time. Jubilee says the F word
Oh, she
twice.
does.
Oh,
she
yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, that was shocking. We had to re-listen because she says, "Are you effing kidding?" That effing scared the S out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
keep us a cleaner. How
Yeah.
did they? What was the plan? Were they gonna bleep it out? Did they air it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if maybe they were planning like we'll put this out on TV and then we'll put like a home video VHS release
But like it's
uncut.
the only,
you know?
the very, it's,
It's
like
the
the very
only
middle of the
swearing
movie.
in the whole thing.
Let's just have a little peek of F words
I
and then
guess.
back down
Yeah.
to like darn.
It was crazy.
It was really
We
weird.
both were. Eric rewound it.
Yeah.
He was like,
And it's funny that out of all the characters who were gonna drop the F-bomb on this TV movie, it was Jubilee.
Yeah. Yep.
Her on the cartoon. I effing got one.
She's tough.
Good
She's
job,
tough.
Wolverine.
anyway, so Banshee talks her down from expelling them all, and
Yeah.
they just get a month of
Because the thing is,
They're, like,
she
yeah.
something like if they risk their getting caught in their powers and they're going to end up dead, and that's what happened to the Hellions, so she can't
Right.
have another group of dead students on her conscience.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that was a really good Emma scene.
Yeah.
She comes across looking pretty good. I
Yeah.
think most of the time she's pretty much on point.
Oh my gosh. You know what is funny though? They do kind of go for the comic accurate costume that she was
Yeah.
wearing in
Yeah.
Gen X. It's like the long pants, but it's still like the bodice thing.
Yeah.
So it's funny because when she first brings in Jubilee and Angelo at the beginning, she just drops her jacket and she's just wearing that. And it's just like, I teach children.
Yeah.
This is how I dress to
It's just-
teach children.
I don't know. She
Well-
definitely takes the term headmistress to like.
Do you remember
Anyway.
in the very first scene with her and Banshee? He's like, "Do you,
She
want,
was
me
in
to,
the-
do you want me to wait while you get dressed?" And she's like, "I am dressed," because she's wearing.
And then
like,
she
basically
snaps
just
her little
lingerie.
negligee strap. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a funny garb
Yeah.
to see somebody wearing like in the principal's office.
Yes. Okay. So after Emma gets them out of the jail
And yells at them and tells them they're not.
They're
expelled.
grounded.
They're
They're
grounded.
grounded.
yes. And,
And-
Angelo and Burger Girl go on their dream date.
Dream date,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
I just have to say, she's asleep.
Yeah.
He is fully conscious.
Yeah. It's creepy.
Oh.
This is creepy.
Max Headroom shows up and is like, "I'm gonna, you're mine now, and you're gonna help me get out of my body and stuff." And this,
Get in his. He wants to get back in his.
Right. He wants
right?
to get back in his body.
He wants to get back in his body, but out of the asylum. And Angelo agrees because he threatened his sister
Yeah. Very
in a
severe.
pretty dark way.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure. First
and-
he's kind of pervy about Jubilee, and then he threatens the sister. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, yowza. That was
Yeah,
a
and
shocking
he
moment.
like has her there. He's like licking her face.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
It's not fun to watch.
Yeah. He definitely, yeah. Anyway,
But anyway, so what Angelo has to do is he has to bring just the head contraption part from the chair to where they have him in this mental ward
Yes.
and put it on him, get his brain back in his body.
Yep.
and then they're all in a mental institution they didn't realize in the New Mutants movie.
Yeah. So anyway, he does that and he succeeds.
That was it too. I was gonna say this made me appreciate the New Mutants movie
Oh,
even
for
more.
sure. I mean, when they went out on their little, we're going to go out on our own, to me felt a little like the scene in New Mutants where they're like, let's go in the attic and play Monopoly. It's the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I guess they do a little bit better of like the kids just being kids.
Yeah, they do.
In this, but in
Yeah.
terms of like combining the two, I was definitely like, wow,
Yep.
New Mutants wasn't great, but it definitely got the job done more than the Gen X pilot. Yeah, and then Kendra was confused because when he got Russell back into his body and everything, he then was kidnapping Angelo.
He somehow got
Yeah.
Angelo down into a basement and strapped him to a chair.
Right.
Even though he's got skin stretchy powers.
Yeah.
Is he going to do that? No
Yeah,
way.
Right. Because he's trying to do what he was doing in the very beginning and get out his, like, mutant
Yeah.
Pineal gland, isn't it?
something.
Yeah.
But he says specifically that he only needs to get one cell from his brain. But to do that, he has to take out his entire brain.
It's a specific cell.
That's
Hilary.
not a thing.
It's a specific
just,
cell.
Just drill a hole, put in a little needle. You know, you don't have to murder the guy.
Okay.
So Angelo then figures out how to project himself into Jubilee's dream to tell her where he is.
yes.
And
So
now
he
the
becomes
Gen
a-
Xers are gonna go into the dreamscape together.
Here they
Yes.
go.
Mutants do.
Yep, and Banshee
Are we
kind of
gonna
gives him
say
that
anything
little.
about how he projects his mind into Jubilee's mind to tell her to tell Emma
Right,
instead of just
yeah.
projecting into Emma?
Into
To
Emma.
the psychic.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Moving
Yeah,
on.
Banshee kind of gives his speech that's kind of like the Wolverine speech that's given in X-Men 3. He's
Yeah.
like, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She might not come home, you know? All
Yeah.
this.
I don't like hockey and I hate kids.
Isn't that what he says?
No, it's something else.
Oh.
That's something else.
Anyway, so they all go into the dreamscape. And all their powers work exactly the same way as they would in the real world, in
Right.
the dream world, and have the same effect on somebody who can control.
I
Yes.
thought that they just see. This is where I got confused. I mean, not that I wasn't confused before, but were they fighting him as their dream selves in the real world?
I think
So really,
what happened because Emma kept.
this is
talking
really
about-
Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Ah.
Emma kept talking about how you could open a gateway to go into the dream world, and I think what
Anyway,
she did.
it's an
was that
X-Men
she-
character.
Oh my gosh!
Portals.
I think that she opened a gateway so that they could go with their bodies into the
Into the dream world.
Oh,
yeah, so
okay.
they teleported there.
Yes.
Their actual selves.
Right.
I hate hate the design of this dream world, where it's just like there's a crazy Tim Burton-y windy path, and also lots of pinks and greens. I hate it. Everything does look like it's being lit by Joel Schumacher as well.
Yeah,
like
it does.
in Forever.
It does.
Those greens and pinks everywhere.
So
I am gonna watch Batman Forever tonight. Before I go to bed, I'm watching Batman Forever.
I think you should.
I support you.
So Russell's still like about to cut into Angelo, as he's been about to cut into Angelo for the last like 15 minutes. We get a blast from Jubilee, which is cool. I thought her power looked decent.
Her powers are good.
Oh, it looked decent.
Yeah, they're sparky.
And is this the only time we get Banshee's call, or was there another?
No, he did
he
earlier
used
to break up the football
The fight.
thing.
Oh, okay. All right. But this one, he's on full blast.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
He blows him through a brick wall. So, yeah.
And Buff punches
Yeah.
and Monet punches. Like, doesn't she punch him in the crotch?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
This is where I get confused, though. So, does Russell become a mutant at this point?
Yeah.
He says that. He says, I think I've mutated. Are you guys not telling me?
Well,
Right.
Emma said earlier that she was afraid that he was a mutant now because he spent so
Now.
much time in the dream world.
Because that's how
Yeah,
I
that's
think
how
'cause-
genetics work.
Because when they kick
Well,
him out
because
of the
they're not doing it
window,
like that.
That's true.
when they kick him out the window, they think he's gone. He shows up and he's big now, and then Emma Frost is like, "I'm gonna take you with me." Not that she does anything,
Right.
but he's like, "Oh, us traveling through space together forever. Yum yum yum, licky licky licky." And then Skin apparently is the main character hero of this movie because he wraps himself all around him, and then they just throw himself off the
Yeah.
cliff,
Yeah.
and they just fall forever. And nobody's really upset. They're just kind of like, well,
There
Skin
he
was a good
goes.
soldier. But then Skin stretches.
He reaches up from the abyss and grabs the thing, and he's back to the group.
No harm, no foul.
Skin shows back up, and they're like, oh, okay, let's go home.
Yeah. So Russell
The amount
is
of money
locked.
they spent on everything, I don't understand how they didn't just put a scarf on a man.
put a scarf?
And then have him take off the scarf.
It kills me. Chamber, I feel like, is the
There's
one
a-
that I would be looking for in this group.
And his powers are like psychotic energy as well.
Psychic, yeah, that'd be perfect.
There's a scene in Street Fighter the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme where Ken and Ryu are fighting Sagat and Vega. And there's a scene where Ryu does his Hadouken stance, and it doesn't do a Hadouken, but there's just a white flash, like a strobe light lit for like a millisecond. And that's supposed to be us being like, whoa, a Hadouken! You could have just take off your scarf, white flash, scarf is back on. You don't even have to show him with the scarf off. You
Yeah.
just see a flash. He's like, that's what my power is. You're like,
When I was
"Whoa,
looking
what was
at
that?"
when I was looking at the original run of the comics, I saw a little more what they might have been thinking. He does have the scarf, so like easy solution. But in the original 4 issues, he is very extravagant. Like his
well,
everything
that's-
he's on, it's like everything is dark, and his whole thing is like emanating
Is
everywhere.
blowy or yeah.
So
well, that's
like,
Chris Pacello's
you know.
art, sure. Also, I don't
again,
understand how Husk
very
is too
easily solved.
expensive. Her power is that you just pull her skin off and she has different skin. I mean, I guess they were like, oh, we can't show somebody with metal skin now, I guess? Can't you
Yeah,
just
I
paint her
don't know.
silver? Anyway.
At the very
They-
least, if you're gonna do something different, I don't like that it's just they talked about how like she was crazy muscly, and so I was assuming because she was constantly covering herself up that it was some sort of like just a crazy mass of like bubbling muscles, just like nonsensical.
Why
but
not
then you
just
finally
take-
see her and she's just like strong.
She's just buff.
Yeah.
Why not just take other younger mutants? They were they were still the new mutants. You could have brought in Magic or Cannonball or something.
That's true.
There's plenty of characters they could have adapted. It's weird to just be like, we'll make some up. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll just make
Yeah, I mean, I guess the new... Anyway, what happens after they get back? I know...
So Russell's trapped in there. They go back. They're playing some kind of X-Men card game. I could
Yeah,
not figure
I
out
wanted
what
to
that
play
was.
this. It
It
felt
was like, the
um,
game in Friends.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
They're like, Spark! Spark!
I like that kind of thing. It felt like True American from
New Girl.
New Girl.
yeah.
Where it's just
Yeah.
like they all know the rules, but they make no sense.
Calvin Ball.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then Buff shows up and she's in her new red costume and they're like, here's your uniforms. And she just kind of stands there and the X symbol kind of glows a bit.
Yeah.
And that's...
It's lame that we don't see the whole team decked out. I guess they must not have made other uniforms, because it's kind of lame that when they show up for the big, like, we're gonna go, that they're not wearing them. Like, if they're gonna do uniforms at all, they really should have had them for the final battle.
That's true. When they like,
But then Skin
have
wouldn't
whole
have a
thing-
uniform.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then we see Russell's back in the hospital and everything, but something's going on in his eyes. Maybe
Oh
the
my
astral
gosh.
plane.
Could you imagine if this had gone to series and Russell was like once every 4 episodes?
I feel like I in like watching this once, I was more invested than I expected to be.
Oh yeah.
I didn't hate it, and I kind of was thinking the whole time, like, would I have liked this if I watched it in 1996? And I kind of think I would have.
Well, yeah, I mean, you owned Pride of the X-Men on tape, right? If you
Yeah,
had
I
owned
sure
this
did.
on tape, I think you would have watched this on tape like over and over too, just like you
possible.
had those other things.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing I've ever watched, but there was a lot of bad stuff in there, so I understand why nothing came of it. But it was entertaining enough.
I did not like it. Again, I feel like I could see what they were going for. I don't know who should get the blame. Like, the script does seem like the problem, but it also seems like the guy filming is the problem.
I think
Yeah.
All those
directing more
angles
than
and
anything
colors.
else.
I agree.
The bones are there for something that I would have maybe liked, but like what is presented, I was like, oh boy, no. I guess I'm glad as an X-Men fan I've watched it, but no, this isn't something that I think I could watch again. But I get, but you know what's funny? As bad as I thought it was, or as much as I didn't like it, it is kind of strange to me that it didn't get picked, because it does seem like it's just there. I
Yeah.
could see how like that show could have gone, I guess, especially in '96. It seemed like it
Exactly.
could have at least lasted a season. This
Yeah.
was Fox, right?
Yeah, it
this
was
was
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah.
I guess if you're Fox, you don't have to, because at this time, if you have 90210 and X-Files and stuff, you've already got maybe both audiences
I guess.
pretty locked and loaded. You don't need whatever Gen X would get. So maybe if this was on a different network, they would have been like, all right, let's get some of those X-Files numbers.
I just kept thinking, I don't really think this is any worse than other pilots from this time. I mean, I feel like season 3 of this show would have been a lot different and probably a lot better.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russell shows up in season 3 and is like, I'm now your headmaster.
That's exactly what would happen. That's exactly what
Emma
would
and
happen.
Banshee are trapped in the astral plane, and Russell's like, ah.
Yeah. Darn it if I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. Hilary?
Yeah, I mean, I think I liked it from coming from the perspective of expecting to hate it. Like, I just sort of enjoyed the things about it that I enjoyed about it. Like, I liked the way she did Emma. I liked the relationship with what's-his-face. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
When Eric put it on for us to watch, I was like, so this is like 30 minutes, right? And then he showed me the time, and I was like, oh, okay, hour and a half. I guess I need to settle in.
Yeah.
You're
If
welcome.
nothing else, this pilot taught me her name is Monet.
Yes.
Now-
And that's
now-
Nothing else. Now you won't embarrass
I
yourself
would
at
like-
parties.
So now I have the ability to know that the next 20 years I'll be saying Monet instead of Monette. So at 55, I can be like, I've done it. I've now spent half the time I've known Monet saying her name right.
So I guess it was all worth it.
I'll be 55 in 20 years.
Yeah.
Let's all take a minute and think about our mortality.
A minute? I feel like Eric does that 24/7.
It is nightly. It's definitely nightly.
Well, on that dark thought,
Well, next time on the podcast, we'll be covering the 2-parter of the animated series Out of the Past.
and for 90210, here we go. Kendra and I are going to be covering season 5, episode 29, The Real McCoy.
Thank you to Prophetic Music for our theme song. You can find out more about this show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Follow us on Facebook or Twitter at Previously on X. Please rate, subscribe, or share this show wherever you get your podcasts.
90210, here we go.